Coming from the great American Southwest, from the very low desert in the Coachella Valley. Good morning, good evening, whatever the case may be to all my listeners around this world. Thank you again for joining me. I'm your host. Blessed to be here by God, the Lord Jesus Christ himself, and we're going to jump into another exciting episode. So today we're going to be discussing just the worldview on what we see from different sides of the U.S. I live on the West Coast. My friend here, Brian, lives over here on the East Coast. And things are very different how we see the world. And we're going to be discussing some of those things, simple things that we see and how we perceive it from different parts of the United States. Because the United States, some places in the United States could be different countries, man. We just act completely different. The people in California act completely different from the people in Alabama. And the people in Connecticut act completely different from the people in New Mexico, and so on and so on it goes. So we're going to be exploring that a little bit through a biblical lens. If you guys don't know, Brian has his own show. We'll have all those links in the bio. He's also one of John Pounder's friends. He also hosts Now You See TV a couple times. So let's get into this episode and let's have a great discussion. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Lioneltavares, Sabbath at Midnight, along here with my co-host, Dominic, and we have our guests. But before we get to that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about us, your mom, your dad, your sister, your uncle, your neighbor, whatever the case may be. It will be greatly appreciated. We got to spread the word. We got to spread the gospel. So we are on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and now we are obviously on YouTube, and that will be our main channel. So please subscribe, because once we get all our episodes moved from the old platform to this one, this is going to be the only one as far as episodes go, but clips and all that stuff will continue to go. Also, we are sponsored by Altenio Fight Club. The links are in the bio. It is a school for MMA, boxing, and jiu-jitsu. You can compete at any level you want, from just wanting to get the workout to self-defense, techniques, or if you want to take it to the highest level and compete. So with that being said, moving forward, let's get to this, what we're going to be talking about. So tonight, I have a guest. Before we introduce him, we're going to be talking with him about what's going on in the world. What is the current state in the world? What are the differences, especially that this man lives across the nation? He comes from more like a Southern type of background. I'll let him explain that a little later. And California, as we know, is very different. It's a very liberal place, and just people are different. The way people react to things, from regular behavior to, to spiritual, like just the spiritual things, and how people are just, the differences between someone in Kentucky reacting to a UFO and someone from California reacting to a UFO. Things like that. From, supernatural disturbances. Does one side think it's their dead relative doing it, and one side thinks it's a demonic spirit. There's very big differences, and I would say that matters in different states. So without further ado, the man that's going to be talking with us tonight and having discussion on just what is going on in this world and the differences. Go ahead, sir, introduce yourself. Tell us where to find your websites, your channel, if you have all that good stuff. I'm sure you do. Please go ahead and share.
Well, speaking of disturbances, visual disturbance in the house, aka Brian Reese. Thank you guys for having me on here the Sabbath at Midnight. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. And like for the introduction here, yes, I come from Kentucky, the South. You can tell by my accent. A lot of people claim that I come from Alabama. I don't even fit in my own state. Imagine that, guys. But yeah, so visual disturbance platform. I'm on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. I'm on all that. Check the links, all that good stuff. Share it out. I appreciate the honor and the privilege to be on here with Sabbath Midnight Lionel. And yeah, man, let's get into cultural differences, UFO phenomenon, AI. Let's talk about all the things that's going on in the world, because there's a lot of compelling information. It's coming out in droves, man. I mean, it's hard to even figure out which way to turn. I can only imagine the impact in California, how it's changed with gas prices, everything. I mean, you guys have been going through it for years. And when it comes to, like you said, from the west to the east, there's a lot going on in here in this state of Kentucky too. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, man. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this conversation on this particular topic for sure, man.
And Dominic, go ahead. Do you have anything to say before we start?
No, it's good having you on. I saw your last Now You See TV video with Travis Carpenter. That was really good, really good. But yeah, we're gonna get into some, like you said, it's some very interesting things. And surprisingly, how we're all Americans, but the culture differences from state to state is just, it's really I'll say interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. But so let's move into this. So, I mean, we are talking at a very interesting time, but things were always interesting before. I want to make that clear. And what I mean interesting, I mean things are just bad, but it's just so coincidental how things are happening. I mean, right now we are having this podcast, and I think we're day 2 or day 3 into the LA riots, or day 5. Man, I guess that's how much I don't really watch the news. I mean, I get all my information mostly from Instagram. You know, I saw the first news article from Instagram. I saw the first riot video on Instagram, social media. So yeah, we're talking during this time. I mean, it's terrible. Is it black and white? Of course not. Are there some people that are actually good people that are getting deported? Of course. Are there some bad people that are getting deported? Absolutely. Okay. And it kind of goes into, make a long story short, one person messed it up for everybody. That's what's pretty much happening right now, because, it's impossible to do this in a reasonable time, to talk to every single person and be like, oh, you're illegal, but you're good, so we're gonna let you stay. No, everybody has to go through this process to avoid this type of this type of chaos. And with that going on, you have so many, who knows what's happening behind the scenes right now, because we always tend to forget. We know, but we tend to forget that when they're having us look one way, something else is happening on the other side. So it would be probably smart for all of us to see what laws are being passed right now, or what agreements are taking place, and what nations are breaking up and coming together, during this time. That's usually what's going on. Or there's some kind of what's that word I'm looking for? Some kind of financial up and down too, and the stocks are always assigned to. And check out what company CEOs are dropping out, and all those things matter. When I'm pretty sure people are gonna have, some person's gonna come out soon and have broken it down, and it's gonna spread all over. And sure enough, it always works that way. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, I'll make just a statement here online here. I don't talk about this much when it comes to politics, but I will say this. We do have something in common. I don't know if you know this or not, but speaking of the politics, I know you got Galvin, Mr. Newsom over there.
Oh yeah,
he's playing around, right? There's a lot of strange things going on. I've been seeing a lot of claims online, Mr. T, Big Trump, trying to claims of, hey, arrest him and all those different things or what have you. But I will tell you something we have it's just, there's comparisons here. When it comes to political leaders, we have Galvin Newsom. He is friends with my governor in Kentucky. Like they're all about it, man. Like that's nothing hidden. Like, they communicate in some shape or form. That's online. You can go look that up. And I thought that was weird, man. Like, as you think about the state that we're in, your state's in chaos and anarchy. We've been getting inundated with like weather modification. I don't know what's going on in our state, man. We've been having F4, almost F5 tornadoes, seismic activity,
really quick. Any blue rain? I've been seeing some of that too.
So southern Indiana, not too far from me, just a couple hours away, I've heard reports of that. I've heard reports
Interesting.
on the western northern end of Kentucky, but I have not seen it firsthand in my neck of the woods, my friends. So it's strange, man. Like I've seen those purple rain, I've seen the blue rain, have you seen the little, it looks like the little soap ball, like it's like a little bottle, like a little bottle, like a ball, and there's I've seen like different proportions of it. It's just so strange, right? And they're doing some weather modifications in some shape or form. But here's the thing. So in California, I mean, you guys are like always ahead. Let's just talk about it. Agriculture, technological advancements, you guys are a little bit ahead when it comes
Yeah.
to Kentucky, right? But there's you guys have resources, you guys have things that's under the ground, and you all have what? I mean, there's so many different wineries and everything over there. You guys are rocking it, right? But here in Kentucky, we have a lot of resources, but they've been untapped. They're not. Well, we're getting discovered now. There's a lot of commercial buildings and different things going on. But I've said this many times. We have a powder keg of information of ancient megalithic structures, ancient antediluvian realm, and nobody wants to talk about it. But we have lithium mines, cobalt. You name it, we got it. So, and then another thing a lot of people don't know, in Kentucky, used to have large amount of tobacco production. That's all went down. Big commercial buildings came in, companies, CEOs came in and cleared out the flock, right? And the little middleman or the poor man can no longer tend to his field. And it's interesting, the Native Americans would say the sacred plant was of tobacco, right? It's like this, and you can go outside, guys. Like, I don't know if this is like you're in your all's area, but you can literally throw a seed out your car window. And when you do that, you're going to have a result. Like it's going to sprout out. There's going to be something happen. Our land is so fertile. Okay. There's so much nitrogen. There's so much inner land for agriculture. You can grow anything here. I mean, the only thing you have really hard time with is coffee, like coffee bean tree. I mean, it's kind of rough, but everything else, you can pretty much make it happen here in Kentucky.
Wow, I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, you have resources, you have communications with political leaders. I think there's more going on, man, than what meets the eye. Yeah, it's just for sure. And then speaking of the rioting, right? So they have cinder blocks on the road, the skids. I call them skids in Kentucky, pallets of cinder blocks, bricks, what have you. There's video footage of throwing face shields out, tactical gear, what have you, full armored jackets in some shape or form, and it's a tipping point. This stuff's escalating and people are seeming to go along to get along. And I will say this to you guys both. Did you see that it leaked online? It was on X the other night. I think they was claiming that some of these people are paid in some shape or form. You guys have probably already heard that before, but I thought it was daunting that it came out. The price range is like $6,500 to like
that was a lot of money.
$12,000. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then a little bit description of what was the job description. I don't know if you remember, but it was like they're looking for people who didn't mind confrontation, who didn't mind violence, who were quote unquote tough guys. I mean, I thought that was funny that they, man, what a bunch of clowns, man. But yeah, the description was very sickening.
Dominic, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, this seems, for me, in my opinion, it seems planned. Mm-hmm. There's another agenda.
Oh yeah.
This is all centralized in downtown LA,
especially the bricks.
Yeah, it's not like it's not in Hermosa Beach or Santa Monica or these other places. It's centralized there, and when you call the Marines out, and I read an article today, it said they loot, we shoot. Mm-hmm. So that's all it's going to take is just one spark like that, and then it'll just expand. People, escalation. I mean, it's just LA is very diverse in different races and cultures there, and why is this happening now? I mean, there's, like Lionel said earlier, there's good people, and there's not so good people, and that's on every race. Okay, and the only thing that they ask of these people is just to get legal. Mm-hmm. What's so hard about doing that? You had years and years and years to do this. That's what I don't understand. And I don't want to get into politics, but it's just so sad to see all this happening now, the way it's happening. And, I think a lot of people out there that are doing this, you probably watch the news clips, they're having fun looting stores, and they broke into a Nike Jordan shoe store, and all this stuff going on. It's like a free for all. And I don't think some of these people are even about the right. I think they're just about go out there and stealing. And it's just crazy. I wouldn't go to LA right now. No way.
I wouldn't even want to live there if you paid me. And something that's also interesting, I saw an article somewhere, I forgot what station said this, but I believe they were saying that Trump was getting in contact with Silicon Valley because with all this chaos going on, they want to start some kind of system, some facial recognition system. Does this sound familiar? So, and check this out. They already have a name for it. It's called the Palantir. I believe how you say that word now. What's a Palantir? You've seen Lord of the Rings? It's the unbreakable globe, the all-seeing eye. You can see the whole world. That's what they're going to name this system. I mean, this stuff is so right in front of your eyes. You have to be a fool to not see this. So that's the name of this system. This system is going to, they're basically taking full advantage of this event. It's going to have information of everybody's individual information to what the the social credit score type of thing. All that information is going to be their facial recognition, ID. Every 1,000 people walking crossing the street, those cameras are going to pick up every single one. Boom, 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 boom. Put you into one database, all your information, and we all know where this is going to lead to. I mean, this is all, Lionel, don't say it's the mark of the beast. It's not, but it is it's like the precursor. It's like the sample of the mark of the beast. You're getting a little taste right now of what this is. We're not even close to it, but this is a little taste. This is going to be a small part of what the mark of the beast is, in my opinion. All for entertainment purposes, people.
Well, let's talk about the culture on this topic. As far as what you just mentioned, both of you guys was mentioning, as far as spiritually, it seems like everything. I don't know about you guys, but when you go out in public, it seems like you'll either get a fluoride look, like everybody's on fluoride, intoxicated on fluoride. They just stare at you. You'll tell them something intuitive. You'll tell them something that you want that, hey, just for, if you're a consumer, you're looking for something in the store and they look at you like a deer in headlights. Right. And I've been noticing it like really bad in the last couple of years, they're like completely detached, cognitive dissonance on steroids. I mean, it feels like that sometimes when you're observing and just kind of living, just walking around, watching people, it's like we've been taken over like body snatchers or something. And let me explain. So this happened to me about 2018. I remember this very well. And speaking of military and, National Guard, what have you. So my old occupation, a lot of people don't know about this about me. I named it visual disturbance because I had an accident, what have you. I'm not going to really get into that much, but my occupation used to be a milkman. No joke, they still make those. I used to be a milkman. I used to deliver milk. And what was so ironic, I remember in 2018, I had these old handhelds, right? These old handhelds, it was like technology from 2005. Okay. I mean, it was like ancient tech. You had your stylus pen. The stylus pen would barely work. And I was remembering I was trying to just make everything so easy, so smooth, get the stuff in, get the product in, check it in, and then boom, get out of everybody's way, going about my merry business. Boom, you're in, right? Well, I proceeded to get the ticket and everything and proceeded to hand over the handheld. Well, the girl was brand new. She's like assistant manager at the time, and she was in her early 20s. Something happened. She got, I don't know what happened really, but she had to leave. I think she was in the guard, what have you. Well, what was so astonishing to me, gentlemen, is she couldn't sign her name, like couldn't sign cursive or anything. And I was like, and I kind of joked around because that's my personality, just to kind of be uplifting in a dark world, even back in 2018. And I was like, it's fingerprint. And she was like hitting the screen and trying to, I said, I'm joking. And we haven't got there yet. I was just joking. And she was freaking out. She goes, I don't know how to do that. I can only do this. And then that day forward, I knew that it was over. I knew that everything that happened at that point up into 2018, I knew whatever come down the pike from that event, from that year, was going to get dark, because you got 20-something-year-olds that can't even write in cursive. Heck, you
Jeez.
can't even write. And I was thinking, man, you give them a Chromebook, you give them academia says, hey, here's what you get, here's what you got, and you can't even write. So it's display. We're displaced. We're defragmented. We are being groomed for this AI takeover. Let's just face it. Like, and those people, I'm not making fun of that lady, but the thing is she's been bamboozled into believing things that she can't do things on her own without devices. And it was really strange. So I knew that day when all that, I was like, it's over. Our society's going to go down the toilet,
That's
as far as and what you had to depend on. So she couldn't depend on her instincts, her abilities, her cognitive abilities. And I just thought that was really strange to be able to get to that level and get into the military, National Guard, what have you. I just thought it was strange to me. And what's your guys' take? Do you all, let me open this up. Do you guys have, like I made the comment about fluoride stare, do you guys have that over there in California? Is it pretty, is it like wide open, like where it's almost everybody, or is it just like on smaller scale? And I'm not trying to mock anybody in California, because I can tell you in Kentucky, it's on a large scale. And it used to not be like that.
Nobody. Yeah, there's a lot of morons out here. Very simple. Yes. People are, like you said, people are on fluoride. You said like it's on steroids over there. Well, these people are on fluoride and they're on steroids. Okay. So a lot of cognitive dissonance with people out here. Very liberal, extremely liberal. I live in the Coachella Valley, which is not too far from Palm Springs, which is, like I think one of the gay capitals, like top 3 gay capitals of the world. So it's very liberal. There's a bunch of anti-ICE people out here protesting on social media, blah, blah, blah. They did a couple busts out here in Cathedral City. And, a lot of people are, going against it. And, these people don't even know what these people have on the information. Maybe these people are bad, maybe they're good, they don't know. But the thing is that they're reacting the same way. They want to be violent, and I just think they're opportunists, like you said. I don't really think more than half of them don't have really good intentions to protest. I think they just want to steal. They just want to get free stuff. That's honestly what I think, and that opinion is based off what I see them doing. It's based off the riots in the previous years. But out here, that type of mentality is, we have a victim mindset mentality out here, and nobody wants to work for anything. Like I get shocked at that, because I have my own business, and for a while I was trying to look for people to work for me, and finally I have someone that works for me, and solid guy, man. Shout out to Zeb, really good worker, great with the kids. But before that, these people came in and they wanted to get paid like $40-$50 an hour. They have no experience, they don't know what they're doing, and I'm just looking at them like, they want to just they want to go to the top, and that's not enough either. And they want to get paid even more, and I just laugh at them like, dude, like, you're not, like, nobody is going to pay you that amount of money with zero experience and excuse my language, half-ass effort, because none of these kids put in work. They showed up late, they would flake. This is the kind of mentality that's out here. And I would say Dominic would agree with that. I mean, Dominic, what do you think about it out here? What do you think about the cultural difference out here, the fluoride look and all that stuff?
I think it just it's a lot of social dissonance. People are more in tune with their AI, their phones, how they look, how they want to present themselves as rich, and they're not. And he's right. A lot of people don't want to work, because a lot of them are getting social services, money, benefits, free food, free rent, all this stuff. And out here, we're in the Coachella Valley, we have 3 sanctuary cities. That'll be Coachella, Cathedral City, and Palm Springs. Those are sanctuary cities. And like I was saying earlier, all they have to do is just get legal. That's it, man. That's all they have to do. And that's one thing I just don't understand. And out here, especially, people from other countries are flying their flags on the trucks. And that's, I mean, for me, if I did that in another country, let's say I went to Russia and rode around a truck with a big American flag. You know, too many things that come easy for these people coming over here, and they know that the United States will give them these benefits. You can't get these benefits if you go to maybe the UK or you go to Spain, or as a matter of fact, Spain's having their own problems now with all this, migration to the country. And I look at this as this has to be one of the biggest agendas, because I think they want people come from these other countries to take over the voting when it comes to voting, and it's all just one big agenda. And I think this whole ID identification they're talking about in LA, that's a model of China. How to monitor you, pretty soon, who knows, maybe we'll start having social credits and all these other different things that China's doing now. And we are moving into a new age. I don't think we're in tribulation. I just think we're probably in the birth pangs in Matthew. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. But I see all these things happening slowly. I see if these riots get bigger, I'm hearing other states. I'm looking it up right now. I couldn't find, but other states, I guess they're having riots too now over this.
Mm-hmm.
And here in this valley, I saw a little clip on I think it was on Instagram. Our local news was saying that, and it's a liberal news. It's they were instructing people to go to a certain facility to get some kind of red card in case immigration comes at them. I don't know what this red card is. I never heard of it, but they're going to talk about it later tonight. And you see what's happening here. It's a tug of war.
Red card.
These people are
they need a green card, man.
These people are blocking what the law, what the rule of law says, and I think that's a powder keg waiting to explode. I mean, all we need this is to get a little bigger now, and what next? I mean, maybe I'm going too far saying that. Well, if this starts happening all in the United States, this becomes a civil war. This gives somebody else a chance to invade us, like China, or some other foreign country. It weakens the U.S. military. So I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there, and it's a little disturbing. And I think overall, I think what started all this way back years ago is the news media. They want them, yeah. They want them to hate one guy. Hate him, whatever he does, hate him, and it's just I don't want to get too far into that, down too high in the weeds, but I'm gonna keep a close eye on it. I'm sure if this keeps going, we're gonna have riots out here in the desert. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna be out there. It's like 105, but hey, man, go at it.
Yeah, they'll put a Burning Man. They'll put a Burning Man statue up and start playing around the desert.
And let's also add, I don't know how it is in Kentucky, but out here, the men, not all, but most of the men out here are so feminine, dude. Not just the LBGT community, but the straight men, if they want to call themselves that. Okay, there's so many it even bothers me, like how weak a lot of these men are. Like, I would respect them if they stood up for themselves or didn't want to call the cops for every single thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it is. And, I'm always assuming the South has a more of a manly, masculine kind of vibe, regardless, even if it's changed a little bit. But that's one thing I notice out here too, is the men are so feminine, period. Gay or straight. You can't tell the difference sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's gradually growing in that world. But I would say, like, two things. Dominic, you was talking about the rioting. I think it's going on in Chicago right now. They're starting to hype that up. And then Lionel, you mentioned something a minute ago about $50 an hour workforce, man. What y'all doing over there, man? That's living like royalty over there, bro.
That's wild.
So let me put this in perspective for you. So if you guys was to relocate and work remote, like if you could relocate your business and come over here to Kentucky, you would live like a king. You would live like a prince because the cost of living over there is like, I remember I used to have a friend that his cousin was from California. I think he lived in San Diego, and he was a DJ, and he made like 128,000 a year, and he said it was like making 62,000 here in Kentucky.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, man, I was like, what? And this is like 15 years ago, bro. So if you go back and think about it now, it's probably double that now.
Oh yeah,
if he was a DJ, right?
Yeah.
So I could only imagine. I couldn't imagine. So getting back to the worth ethic, the workforce, I started noticing a decline a long time ago. So let me put something in perspective here. Like when I was a youngster, okay, you guys are probably thinking, man, where's this guy from? The hillbilly holler? But I'll just tell you how it is around here, man. Like suppression. I'll say suppression. I see my family, my dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather suppressed, like literally, like you'll hear this terminology, like can't, never, could, do nothing, or like it's demeaning, like everything would just be a culture of like everybody's like in slavery. And let me get to my point. Like you're working from dirt, like literally, like my dad would work from nothing. He was homeless as a kid, right? Like as a young man, and had to make it and grind and try to make it into the high school, and to graduate, which he did. And he tried to strive to do everything he possibly could to make sure I had a roof over my head, make sure I had food on, a table, clothes on my back. And he provided I had a great childhood and provided everything possible. And we had barely nothing, man, but he grinded, right? And a big shout out to my dad. He's got bone cancer right now. He's going through it. He spent 50 years, guys. He spent 50 years at his occupation, his employment at a factory, but 50 years in. I don't know anybody around, even in my area now, that can say that they have that trophy of saying they put in 50 years of business or service into an occupation. It's rare. I think coming from a background of working in the hay fields, tobacco, like I'm talking like Andy Griffith, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like Andy Griffith had like high quality, stuff in that little skit in those TV shows. But, we're coming from like past, down handy downs of like Tartaria technology. I mean, some of the stuff, man, was like junk. Some of the stuff was like, but you was thankful, you was humbled, you was like, hey, that's what we got, right? And I don't know where our society's headed. I think a lot of people, and forgive me if I'm overstepping here, I think a lot of people have been given so many things they don't understand about a blessing that they have, that God has truly blessed them. Like literally been like, even if it's inheritance or if their family has, lots of money, they are truly blessed. And I don't think they really realize it. Like, but some people don't. Like some people take advantage of it and they look down upon, like, myself, for example. Hey, what do you mean you worked in the hay fields? Who are you? Yes, I'm American, born and raised in Kentucky, right? But I had, it's something I did, and it molds you, man. Like you know how the pain is and the endurance. You know how to put in 15, 16 hours a day, working in 120-degree barns, stacking hay. It molds you. It's like almost like borderline working military. You know what I mean? Like basic training, and you go through this grind of putting your body through, you're shredding your body, and then for chasing a little bit of money. Like that's what I'm saying. The economy of what you're referring to, price of living around here, I say the taxes over there are like sky high. I mean, what you're saying, those quotes of $50, $40 an hour are astounding to me, Lionel. And I didn't mean to go too big a long rant there. I don't want to take overstep my welcome here as far as being a guest on here. And thank you again. But guys, I'm telling you, you could live like kings, like from Dubai, if you came over here and started working. I'm just saying, guys. I mean, that's how crazy it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dominic, you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I read an article the other day that mentions here in California, not considered low middle class is making $100,000 a year. I mean, we're talking
60 an hour out here is not a lot of money, bro. Like,
no,
really not.
And food prices are high, probably higher than where you're at in Kentucky. Gasoline They say by July 1st, it's going to start rising maybe to $8 a gallon because they're shutting down refineries.
100 an hour is about right to live.
The whole green earth agenda, whatever. And so I mean, yeah, out here in California, I mean, it's really expensive. I mean, a 1-bedroom apartment probably run you about $2,000 a month now.
More than that, it's like 2,200.
Yeah, it's really high. Everything's just
wow. You could, like, what you're saying, like, I kid you guys not. Like, I had to go. We went to Tennessee a couple months ago, and you can get Kroger points and stack them, but you can only stack them in Tennessee for what. So you accumulate a bunch of rewards. You can go to the gas pump. I kid you guys not. Guess how much I got gas for a gallon? Guess how much I got my wife's driving and everything, and I get out and I'm just like, hey, let you stack them. I got them for 74 cents a gallon, guys.
Wow,
like because you stack it. And so because she shops at Kroger, right? So 74 cents. Think about that. And when I started driving, guys, it was like 60 something cents a gallon.
When I was a kid,
you guys have never seen that before.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was about like 90 cents, $1.05 around there, right, Dad? Around there, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I remember. Never again will I see those prices.
So
no way.
So I remember. So have y'all ever rode on a horse and buggy? I'm not talking like, hey, little house in the prairie, but yeah, a little bit like a little house in the prairie. Like I came from that. Like I had my great grandfather where he didn't drive to places. He would go to the local general store with horseback and your wagon.
That's cool.
I mean, while you guys are like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're advancing. You what I'm saying? Like California's a beautiful state. It's just run down into the ground. Like there's powers that be are running it into the ground. And let's get on that subject. Like I think it's spiritual territorial spirits. Like, because what you're referring to, like you're talking about masculinity, you're talking about these men, you're talking about these people that are rioting, and what drives a man to do that? What drives a woman to do that? And like y'all keep saying that they
act like women. I was about to say that's why.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, just get their citizenship, do everything the right way,
simple,
do it all. Simple. And see, and here's the thing. Like I'm American, and we have to go through it, right? Like getting passports to, fly or whatever, this real ID stuff. I mean, we're going through it too. Yes. There's all kinds of restrictions, man. But like there's different things to Kentucky. Like, for example, let me explain. You're going to laugh on this one. If you have 5, they're getting ready to pass it. A 5-acre lot. Okay. If you have a 5-acre lot and have a pond on it, you can't fish it, even though that was passed down for 2 or 3 generations. You can't fish on your pond without a fishing license. But your granddad did, your daddy did, but you can't do it. So just think about that for a minute. We're being, I mean,
that's just like, give me money just because I can. Like, that's ridiculous, man. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that just goes part with all the control with the, I believe, even though this part doesn't make sense now, but that's going to somehow connect to the AI, like that whole pond thing. Like I played a video game where the AI knew how many fish were in the pond and in the ocean. And, you know what I mean? All this stuff comes from an idea from somewhere. But yeah, man, that's pretty wild, dude. And you were saying about the spiritual side of it. Yes, I do believe there is a spiritual principality over California. There just has to be. I mean, for example, this is a UFO hotspot. Mm-hmm. From my belief and my point of view, from being a Christian, it's all related because I don't believe aliens are coming from other planets and they're just a regular civilization like us, but they're different because they grew up on another universe or galaxy. I think that's nonsense. These things are spiritual, okay, or at least their fathers are. Right. And it's all connected. It's not a coincidence that we live by Joshua Tree, which is, not too far away, about an hour drive away. It's a huge UFO hotspot. They just did that event with all these new age, people that believe in all this nonsense, contact in the desert. I mean, these people are paying thousands of dollars to listen to this stuff. I mean, think about it. You are worshiping this stuff. If you're willing to pay $1,000, even more. I mean, the tickets are, if you get the special ticket, you get have a glass of wine with one of the guests. It's ridiculous. But Yeah, I would say there's definitely a spiritual principality out in this area because of the things I just mentioned. And not only that, I mean, not to mention, me and Dominic, my father here, we grew up on this ranch that was just, completely haunted, from everything from poltergeist experiences to UFOs to, to cryptid evidence, and people seeing, weird, cryptids, my neighbors, and yeah, and like I said, you look up long enough, it's not just us, anybody can come out here and see UFOs. I mean, we've seen, um, we were able to see, I think they called it the Phoenix lights that happened, decades ago. We saw that from, that's how far, where we live. You can see the mountains that go, towards Arizona. And we, with that event, we can see from there. I seen a massive, triangle UFO out here when I was a kid, clear as day in the middle of the day, man. Yes, and there's a lot of Native American stuff out here too. A lot of it, as a matter of fact, we had a mound in our backyard, and we found pottery in the backyard, found arrowheads in the backyard, and there's even some bones back there that were found. Just a lot is going on here. So feel free to pick any path, because we can go down it. I don't know how Kentucky is with that kind of stuff out there. I mean, do you guys see a lot of this stuff, UFOs, like on a daily basis? Boom, to the point where people are making events there, because that's how guaranteed it is.
That's a really good question, and I want to comment on the Indian mound. I was getting ready to ask you, when you was talking about cryptids, spiritual things, what have you. We got an interdimensional concept going on here, right? And I've studied a lot of Indian mounds. That's like my forte, man. Nephilim, the giants of old, the Raphaim. That's kind of my thing, man. Like I dig into anything. I'll take on all kinds of conspiracies, anything from UFOs, anything paranormal activity, and that's compelling to me, man. I mean, you're talking about the pottery, talking about the Indian mound.
Dominic too. He was there, out there before I was born, and he has even more like closer contact with this kind of stuff. I mean,
wow,
crazy.
Wow.
Growing up, I mean, him and my uncles and my aunt, they have wild stories too, man. I mean, it's just seeing these giant owls that are like these, like shape-shifting type of creatures. And one was killed by our uncle. They said the thing screamed like a woman, and the insides of it were human hair. There's no blood, so imagine this is, it's kind of like a stuffed doll. You cut it open, instead of cotton inside, it was human hair. Just weird things like that. And Dominic, what do you think about? I mean, Dominic, this guy sees UFOs whenever he wants. They like you for some reason, right?
I don't know, man. What's that about? But I think spiritually, I think this desert, it was once home to the natives derived from the Aztecs. That's what history says. Accordingly, it was a lot of it was underwater at one time, but we have a city called Indio, and that means Indian. And when we lived on this ranch, I found a lot of arrowheads and pottery and scorched earth, and I think there was some human bones out there, and it's just a lot of weird. I think a lot of weird witchcraft happened here in the desert, brought over from the Aztecs, maybe 500 years ago. I don't know, somewhere around there. And when you look into what the Aztecs worshipped, they worshipped all these different gods. The Aztecs, the Mayas, you got Quetzalcoatl, you got Viracocha, all these different things they brought over here. Then they migrated up here. A lot of them went to towards Arizona, and they brought their gods there, and there was a lot of cannibalism there. I think it was maybe I want to say the 1700s, maybe, or 1800s. And so here in this desert, I think there's a spiritual Nephilim, an angel, a demon, a fallen angel. Because in this desert, there's a lot of the mentality out here is you can't be weak, because a lot of these guys out here, they don't even know you, and they'll give you dirty looks, like they want to start something. And that's the mentality out here. And you have to be like, you have to put on a certain persona around certain people. You got to use the psychology of what you're seeing around you. You see, a flamboyant people, all big deal, right? These guys are look like thugs. Then you got to change your persona, and you just have to protect yourself that way because they don't know who you are.
It's pretty ghetto,
and it's getting that way. It's becoming worse and worse. And I think a lot of this, these women want to be men now. I see a lot of that. I see men want to be. It goes both ways. And I look at it as it's got to be the spirit of the Antichrist that's happening now, because they don't have necessarily anything biological wrong with them. Some people, they say some people do. Their X and Y's are not, right. But for the majority of them, I mean, you may meet I've known straight guys that they just transform to another, like another
person,
a spirit enters them, and they're totally different. And even some of these women, that they're just like dudes. I mean, hey man, hunky dory for you. I mean, that's your business, but I can see in their eyes that there's spiritual darkness in them. And but that's the way the world is turning to, and it will get it will become more prevalent.
And everybody wants to fight all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, even I remember once I was at the grocery store, and these two women got out the car, and one woman was staring at me, and then I didn't know what's going on, and I turned around like I was gonna wave at her, and this woman looked like a dude, man, her hair and everything. She was like ready to fight me. I'm like, it's crazy. That's the way California is right now at this point.
So it kind of makes me go back to what you was referring to. You was talking about, like, Lionel was making a joke. Hey, you got UFOs everywhere coming around you, man. So it's kind of interesting to me when you think about that, because there's a lot of, let's just say, the whistleblowers and what have you. They're coming out with the telekinesis, telepathic. You name it. We can summon that. Jake Barber can summon the UFOs with his mind, telepathically, and here comes a magical orb floating down. Well, I got a take for you here, Dominic. I think about, what if, both of you, what if you have Native American blood in you? What if it's an ancestral tie to something? Let me explain. I remember reading the Hopi prophecy, talking about the spider web in the sky, and then they're claiming that the white men would work with them one day when the cataclysm comes upon them, because they're referring to this new age, this new cataclysm, the calamity coming upon them. And they're referring to the chemtrails in the sky. Watch what I say on here, so we're respectful of the channel. And then certain other things that just are key markers for me. You can go look at the literature. They said that the white men would work with them because they have a common bond, and what that was, they shared the genetics, they shared the blood, right? And it was like they claim that the white folk would not understand, like red skin, brown skin, dark skin, they wouldn't understand, but they one day would fight together to fight off these entities or these star people or whatever's coming.
Wow.
And they said that there'd be a man lead them with a red hat. I kid you not, guys.
Red hat. Well, who would that be?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of makes you wonder, because we got the Trump, Make America Great Again.
Oh, that's what
okay. So it
okay.
kind of makes people think, right?
First thing I thought was Santa Claus for some reason. I don't know why, but
Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. But MAGA hat, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Well, and I put the pieces together when I was thinking about all this. I'm like, hey, this information keeps coming out about it. And you think about, I mean, guys, there's so much to talk about. When you talk about UFOs, you're talking about, Dominic's saying I got, stuff showing up in the sky. Well, I will say this to you guys, even though you're saying you have it's pretty easy to go outside on your back porch or whatever. You look up, you find yourself a flying roll, the cylinderoid, or, some type of flying disc, what we would call it, if you study it, IFA, the Orfana, the Vimana, those kind of things. And I think they're tracking us. I've heard anything from, there's a lot of speculation online. This is the ancient Atlantean security system. I did many shows on it when they talk about Dyson spheres. I kid you guys not. And I said, how much more lame can you get? I even made a little joke in the program. I had a Dyson vacuum cleaner. I was like, hey, I bet you Dyson doesn't appreciate you going around and claiming that the orbs in the sky are Dyson spheres. It was just a little comedy because it was just, I couldn't believe it was legit. I couldn't believe they made that claim. I thought it was ridiculous. So, you was making comment about the woman in the marketplace. The fallen angels, when you talk about the sons of God made with the daughters of men, they chose wives, they took wives, they bored out giants, the Nephilim, the embodied spirits that roam this earth to this day. When you're thinking about what happened at the great flood of Noah. And guys, I don't know, man, about you guys over in your all's area in the West Coast, but something that really gets me going is, could they have the term that we use at FOJC and ACTV, David Carrico, big shout out to him. He's done many programs about passengers, like something coming back with you. And he makes the analogy, hey, you're not driving the steering wheel no more. You're in the passenger seat or in the back seat, but you're no longer in charge of your temple is what you want. And I'm thinking, what Dominic's seeing, what Lionel's seeing here, you're thinking fleshly, human. You're seeing it, but you're not seeing the 4D concept, the interdimensional concept. What's really going on that's behind the veil, right? And I think with the UFOs on the rise, and it's just, I want to go down this rabbit hole. I got a lot to talk about, but I don't want to overstep here because I'm a guest. But the cancer on the rise, that's insane. And you remember, I don't know if you guys remember or not, and I think it was April of 2022, if I'm not mistaken, there was a 1,500-page report that came out. And I believe it was The Sun, if I'm not mistaken, the British tabloid, and it was on Freedom of Information Act. You can go look this up. And if I'm not mistaken, Lionel, I think you might have had Karen Wilkinson on. I know Karen. Big shout out to Karen. Yeah, Karen Wilkinson. I did a couple shows with her, and I remember some of her testimony. But when you think about these abductions in this 1,500-page report, cancer, different things, these women had bruises, radiation markings all over them. Their first, second trimester went good, and I think the third trimester, the baby just disappears. They miraculously get pregnant. There's no father, and it's crazy. It's like the Twilight Zone. I mean, it's literally like a sci-fi movie. We keep referring to steroids. It's maximized to max, literally Mad Max scenario. I mean, we're living in literally insane times.
Yeah.
So
great.
Yeah. So what's your
The
take
days of
on that?
Noah, right? You would say pretty much.
Dude, yeah, for real. Like, and see, that's what I want to kind of go with this. I know we're going a little long here. I don't know how much time I have, but
You do an hour and a half, so we're 45 minutes in.
okay,
You got plenty of time.
So sleep paralysis. You got the telepathic documents coming out. The CIA mentioned that remote viewing was a thing and everybody could do it. I mean, it's insane, right? It's almost like, here's my take, okay? Here's my hillbilly redneck stance on this, okay? So since I was a kid, you get, a TV, right? The TV box has got rabbit ears down the rabbit hole, right? Television, it's telling you, casting, right? It's telling you a vision. Programming, you have the TV guide. Everybody would go, hey, get the Sunday paper, and you see what's on the television, see what's on the TV guide. And you're perceiving it. You see sitcoms, you see movies, and everything is like tuning your brain cognitively, like the neurons in your brain, memories. There's, how the Bible talking about sowing seed, right? You sow seed, and whatever you sow, if you reapeth. And like, you're cultivating a young mind, especially, they are always attacking the children. And it's kind of ironic that it's the women and the children that always get the blunt force, of all the trauma when it comes to spiritual application. It's weird to me. So when you're watching all that filth and your parents are like, well, it's no big deal. It says it's PG-13. It says it's PG. It says it's G. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but there's some movies out there that was G. And I remember one that was called Beetlejuice. And I'm not making this up. I think it was G or PG.
The new one?
The old one, man. And did you know that he dropped the F-bomb in that film? I had to go back, and I bought a Blu-ray. I didn't even know it. And I was like, oh, this would be cool to watch. It's like 15 years ago. And boom, dropped the F-bomb in there. See, so it's subliminally throwing stuff in there, which I didn't catch, right? So when you get older and you start thinking, you're like, hey, gears start turning. God starts making that new man really shineth. You know what I mean? You get a new pair of God, literally a new pair of lenses, and you're not seeing the things like you used to see. You're not soaking it up as entertainment anymore. You're like, hey, discernment meters on the rise, right? You got to really focus on what you're looking at. And these illustrations and stuff and subliminal messaging is off the chain. And we can all agree here. I know you guys probably know it. Your brain only can perceive so many frames. You know, here we are using this technology, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, and you can only go so much. Your brain can only retain, but your subconscious, you're taking that all in. It's coming in. And I want to bring this up. I really want your all's take on this. So I'm gonna only say so much, but I've been in programs with vision issues. Okay. So they'll light therapy. So let me explain. So light therapy and stem cell research are like at the top of like literally government funded, like stem cell, and then anything else I've seen light therapy, when you look into that. So the light spectrum. So let's just have fun here. I made many programs recently talking about the holographic technology. Okay. Let's have fun. Let's say it's so bad that we don't know how far deep we are. But the Heavenly Father is like completely saying, my children, the remnant's going to stand. The word is forever flowing off the page. You know, you mentioned something about earlier. It really resonated with me. I kept thinking Ephesians 6, verse 12, we're principalities, dominions, and we're literally seeing it playing out. And like a lot of people like yourselves are saying, hey, I can't believe I can't go to the marketplace. I'm seeing the demons literally manifest in real time. And I'm thinking, guys, like light spectrum, vibration, harmonics. I mean, things that, you have this technological advancements. You have things that are so subtle that we use as tools. But what if there's another thing going on? Like, what if, like, you have AI? My theory, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but my whole perspective on this, and just throwing this out and tossing this around, what if we are being manipulated? And when you're talking about video games, Lionel, you mentioned earlier, dude, I remember when I looked at VR headsets. So like when they was doing, I remember coming across a study with the VR headsets and then like somebody on LSD, right? So we're talking about Native Americans, how they used to use ayahuasca. So you had to use the means to, astral project or talk to these entities, right? You're literally becoming induced into an astral projection concept, right? This reality of talking to these creatures or entities, right? DMT, LSD, all that, right? And it just makes me wonder, really, just thinking about the VR headset concept. And I remember seeing that they did studies where the brain lit up, and it was literally like they was on the dopamine kick and everything, but it was almost like they was verbatim, like it looks so similar. If you put the information on side to side, the brain waves, everything looked like they was on LSD and affecting the pineal gland. That's on a VR headset, guys. So when you think about quantum entanglement, AI components, the visual stance, what you're feeding yourself. I remember a gentleman years ago told me, talking about, this is a super smart man. He stopped me one day and he said, what you fill your eyes with, like whatever you fuel it with is what you become. It's the windows to the soul. And I will never forget that as long as I live. And he's just a very wise man that stopped me one day and told me that. And I'm sorry I went long there, but I want to know what's your all's take. I know I'm throwing out some like down the rabbit hole narratives here, but I really want to know what you two individuals think about this, because I know it's a lot to chew on. What's your all's take?
Go ahead, Dominic.
Well, getting back to the UFOs you're mentioning, and the Karen Wilkinson, from my mom's side, that's Native American.
Mm-hmm.
And I always knew that because of that specific thing, there was some kind of connection with these things flying around. Why they were attracted to me. I mean, one got so close, it flew. It came towards me over the house. My mom was there, my daughter was there, and the thing was just a bright orange, man, just like really bright, and it was really low. And I started thinking about it. You know what? I can't be thinking about these things, going out and looking for them, and all that stopped. But if I sit outside, I will eventually see something. It may not be much of a capture on video or whatever, but they're there. They're there, and these entities are because the last ones I've seen, there's a mass amount of them. I don't know. They just keep coming like for a whole week, like 20, 30, 40, 50 a night. But they're way off in the distance, and I can only make out that they were orange and kind of translucent, which made me think that they were partly here and partly there, wherever they're from. And they just get to a certain point in the sky and disappear. So that was probably maybe a portal to wherever realm they're in, and but and when you talk to Karen, when we talked to Karen Wilkinson, that's a very disturbing story, and I know many other people have come forward and had similar experiences, and I think all this has to do with and Karen said that her handler showed her his true state of being, and it was reptilian.
Oh yeah.
And he was like his skin was like rainbows or diamonds, like it was shimmering.
Wild.
And
shiny ones.
And I've heard that before. And then you look into, when you get down this rabbit hole, you look into how some people say that we've interviewed a guy and heard some other stories about UFOs and Bigfoot. They're usually together when things happen, such as someone sees a Bigfoot or they see a UFO and they see both. And I think a lot of this, I think a lot of the cryptids, the Bigfoot and the Dogman, all this stuff, they have to be interdimensional. And I just posted on Instagram that scientists believe that there's many black holes roving around. And we had a guy on recently who said there was a moving black hole in his house.
Oh yeah, that was a wild story.
And so, what the issue is for me, when I take issue with this, I mean, humanity is naturally inquisitive when it comes to something they don't know. All right, they want to know what's Bigfoot, what's a Dogman, and I could pick a bone with other Christian podcasts, when they make these things out as they're fuzzy and cuddly little things. Let's do a shirt with the sunglasses on with a Bigfoot and whatever, right? For a baby Christian, that's bad, because they're going to want to go out and look for these things and look for the tall whites, the blonde hair, blue eyed, whatever they are. Oh, they're the elder race. They're our ancient brothers, and they're going to come and help us. And to the Christian, a young Christian, they're going to be confused. Like, hey, let's call these things. Let's meet one of these angels, right? And that's where we're going towards. And I'm seeing more and more on these Christian podcasts. They talk about, they have guests on there who are pastors or whatever, and they're talking about past lives. They're talking about all this like Gnostic stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's really crazy. See, so these big podcasters are also influencers. So even an adult who's been in church but is not wholly sound on the Bible, they'll fall into that trap. Oh yeah, I had a dream. I had a past life, and it's just, it messes up their mind, and now they're pulling them into a Gnosticism type of a belief system. They're meshing these like Ancient Aliens 2.0, and I see a lot of this going on. And I never thought that when I got into this that I would see stuff like this on Christian podcasts. I never thought I would hear stuff like this, and people are eating it up. You're like, it's really disturbing. I can only do what I can do. Push back, and it is because I care. I want people not to be fooled that Bigfoot is a fuzzy animal. talking to Travis Carpenter and hearing what his dad did. It's like Scott Carpenter says they don't know who Christ is. They don't acknowledge Christ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's all you need, man. That's all you need. You shouldn't. For me, in my opinion, a person who's supposedly following Christ, when you start talking about these things so much, it becomes a form of idolatry and worship. And graven images, when you start printing shirts up, and I mean, I know some people say, "Oh, you're going too far. It's just fun and games." No, it's not fun and games. It's not fun and games. When you start putting that stuff on your chest or your hat or whatever, you are worshiping these things, and you go out and look for them. And some people have never come back looking for them. Alaska, people got slaughtered over there, a bunch of men. We had D.A. Roberts on talking about other Bigfoot that slaughtered people, and I can never forget what Scott Carpenter said when he saw a dog man. Those were the blackest eyes he's ever seen. I mean, you know what? I don't need to look for those things. I think a lot of my spiritual attacks came from at an early age when I was looking for UFOs. I was looking for aliens because they had all this technology and they can heal you and they can do. Well, yeah, I'm sure they can heal you, right? But it's not of God. You know, I hear Dr. Stephen Greer talk about, oh, someone got healed. Well, that's not from God. You know, and so I fell into this, and that's when a lot of these spiritual things started happening. A giant monster outside the porch one night and rattling the door, and giant owls and black apparitions, and some kind of creature would visit the ranch maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Dude, it was totally wild. And that's because I started getting into the alien stuff. So I want to warn people out there that don't fall into that trap of the aliens. Don't fall in the trap to the other race, the blonde, blue-haired angels. They're not angels, and don't fall into the cryptids too much. Sure, it's natural to be curious, but don't go looking for them. Because what happens to a lot of these people when they go looking for these cryptids, they bring back the hijackers, the demonic shadow people. It's the same concept when you're talking about UFOs and you go looking for UFOs. That's what happened to me. Don't do that, because you open the door. If you don't know how to shut that door, don't open it. It's no different than playing with a Ouija board. Once you open that door, man, you're gonna have those shadow beings in your house. You're gonna have, all kinds of crazy things. And we did enough podcasts and talking to people to know that all their stories coincide with that. That's what happens. There are these weird demons coming to the window, or Bigfoots, or shadow people, and footsteps, and all these weird things. Roving black holes, and all. It's crazy out there. It really is, and people are falling into this Gnostic type of view. Knowledge, and you have the knowledge.
So, buddy, what exactly was the question again? Because the guy kind of lost between both of you guys.
Well, I was just talking overall, like basically what Dominic was talking about with the alien abduction, the UFO phenomenon, and just overall, like, what's going on, with the light spectrum, these tools. I mentioned VR headsets a while ago. These things are altering. They're altering the brain waves. I mean, it's like Professor X from X-Men, right? Come on.
These demons could be, some of these creatures could be in the VR headset itself. I mean, I would say that the internet, with the whole 5G thing, that for lack of better words, don't quote me exactly, but you can look this up. There's people that have talked about this. This is when the 5G was coming out. Before it came out, they were saying that the internet is moving so fast now that it moves in a different realm, that it's almost supernatural. That's how fast the 5G is, and we're already 5G. So the next 6G, 7G, if something is moving like that, I mean, because think about the internet, you can't see it, you can't touch it, but it's there, right? And it has a speed and everything. That's why it's called 5G or whatever, because it's measuring the speed of it. So it's obviously something physical. It can move, in some form, shape, or way. So I would think 100% that these demons can travel through whatever this wave or internet portal is, because like I said, it has to be connecting to a different realm if it's moving that fast, because things can't move that fast so I do think there's definitely supernatural things could be attached to it. This whole AI thing, virtual reality, I do believe they want us to be they want us to be disconnected from reality, so I do think the new AI thing is going to be it's going to be the future of everything, just how we have our phones in our hand 24/7. The next step is to put it in us, to be the phone. Elon Musk was talking about this thing with the Neuralink years ago, and I don't really think the best of that guy, and everything going on here with the president. You look back on my old episodes 5, 6, 7 years ago, never liked the guy, always up to very suspicious things. And anyone who doesn't believe in Jesus is just already red flag. So yeah, I think all this is going to play into the mark of the beast, man. I mean, when you think about it, all this control stuff, all this technology to remove you from what reality is, believe it or not, it is all going to be a part of the mark of the beast, period. So that's what I think about that. And the whole UFO thing, if not all UFO abductions have some kind of sexual nature to it. And what I mean is everything from them supposedly having sex with these things to their sexual reproductive stuff being removed, like they're getting the sperm taken out, or they're getting their eggs taken out. And then there's animals being abducted, also their body parts getting taken. Sounds like to me they're making creatures. All right, I mean, what else are they going to do with these things? So sounds like they're mixing and matching DNA with different creatures, and making a hybrid race. And maybe these demons are using these bodies to roam again in the physical realm, these disembodied Nephilim spirits. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're making bodies for them. I don't know, but what I do know is that they are making hybrid bodies. Okay, whether that's a quadruped or a humanoid looking thing, they're making something. I mean, what else do you need sperm and eggs for? You know what I mean? It has to be for that. Yeah, that's my opinion on that. Yeah.
Well, I have an interesting take on this. I don't know if you guys remember this. This happened in 2017, and I remember it. I was delivering that day, and I was keeping up with some like science stuff, advancements. So this is 2017. I think it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm hearing this. Did you guys ever hear about the German? It was like a scientist. Okay, they made 2017. They made programmable matter that could literally reassemble and everything, program itself, make things, like literally. And so there's this thing going online right now. A lot of people's talking about it in a weird light. Okay. So here we are talking about UFOs. Okay. Here we are talking about chemtrails. Have you ever seen something in California when you see a plane? It might not be spraying anything out the back of it, but you'll see something else, like a black line. There'll be a white line. Have you seen
Really
that before,
weird. It's
guys?
like a shadow almost. The black
For
one.
sure.
Yeah.
Same here. So let's say hypothetical here. There's been some footage online. X throws a lot of stuff out there. They see like an orb beside the plane, what have you. The whole Malaysia 370 thing is, let's just say, off the chart as far as what is it, secret shadow government, what have you. And so this is kind of where I'm going with this. So you have humanity, you have the divine intervention of what God made, you have the fallen angels are still running amok. They still haven't stopped. The sons of God made with the daughters of men, they're still rolling. You know what I'm saying? The children are embodied spirits. They're rolling around, roaming around, trying to find a body, right? Well, if you think about programmable matter from 2017 and you think about the applications like you referred to of 5G mechanisms, you see what happened the last 5 years. Okay. You think about what happened, all this diabolical, horrific, nefarious plots against humanity. Okay. Dark, and demented. Okay. So get this online fast forward 2025, no joke, we have this so-called organic AI concept. This organic AI leverages biological inspiration for neural pathways. You mentioned Elon earlier, right? You mentioned him and you was like, I'm not really too big on him. So you have organic material. Hey, guess what? We're walking around organic material. Hello. So
Oh, wow.
you kind of feel where I'm going, bro.
Catching. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So we have
Wild.
AI systems adapting, right? They're constantly adapting. They're learning their traditions. They're learning everything about us. We're learning with them, and then we're teaching them. So hang on a minute. So you have traditional AI, which I said, the natural way. No joke. They're claiming it's organic AI, but there's a
Whatever that means.
synthetic. What is it, Lionel? What is it?
No, I said whatever that means. Like,
Exactly.
whatever that means, organic AI.
Yeah. So basically, the synthetic data, like the synthetic AI, is literally an artificial, obviously, but it's from humanity, and it's going to be scaled as a control mechanism for humanity. So like we're having a dystopian future. Okay. So not only do we have an organic stance, and I thought to myself, I said, I remember that 2017 with the programmable matter from Germany. And then what if they're spraying us? Like, what if they're spraying with this stuff over us? And that's why everybody's like freaking out and tripping. Like literally going, one day a normal person, the next day stripping down the street and jumping cars. You see what I'm saying? Like literally, and there's not, they don't have an anchor. Lionel, what'd you say, man? What'd you say?
No, I know. I'm just talking under. Like, I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I just didn't want to interrupt you, man. Go for it. If you
Oh no, dude.
interject at any time,
Bro,
I love
that's
have
that's just
conversation.
like a habit. Like, I'll be like, yep, just under my
No,
tongue.
no,
I
I'm
did
the
have
same
nothing.
way.
I had nothing to say, but just agree with you. Okay, keep going if you have more to say.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you jump in any time. I
Go
love
ahead, Dominic.
it. I'm not.
What do you got to say, Dominic?
Jump in any time.
You
No,
there?
I mean, organic AI.
Yeah, I
It
was
makes
like,
a
what
lot
does
of
that
it makes
mean?
a lot of sense because
What the heck is organic AI though? Isn't AI man-made in general? Anyways, that's weird. Go ahead.
organic, part flesh and whatever.
It's human brain. It's from humans. No
That's
joke. Have y'all seen
crazy.
the computer? It's literally an origination from the human concept.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
It's genetic data from a human.
Yeah. So I mean, we have to look at this. Is it possible that the governments are getting this type of technology, how to do from these interdimensional entities?
It has to be.
Because that's a big leap, man. I mean, they're making AI dolls now, whatever, AI little robots, but to jump to organic, that's a big jump,
Mm-hmm.
and that's no small feat at all, and that could lead to how they say that they figured a way out how to capture the consciousness of a human when they die.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if you put that into an organic AI?
Mm.
And you move forward in that, and you got Russia allegedly tracked. They were doing some experiments on when a person passes away, where does the soul go, right? And they tracked the soul for a few seconds with some kind of AI computer, whatever, and they lost it. Then they I guess they rebooted or reset or something, and they found that the soul was traveling faster than the speed of light, and it ended up in some galaxy. I don't know what the name of it is. What name with second heaven, whatever it is. I don't know what the name of this galaxy is, but supposedly, allegedly, the Russians, So this has to do with what I'm getting at is if in the future, what I see is them using organic, actually a person like a clone, and they're gonna swap that conscience in them, but it won't be that same person.
No.
Because their soul is gone, man. Their spirit is well, I don't know if they have a spirit in them, but they do have a soul. Holy Spirit comes from God. So I mean, this is all really interesting. You brought this up. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This could be the next step into evolution, if they want to call it evolution, humanity 2.0. And they can manipulate bodies now, even with the Cas, was it Cas9, I think it's called, the AI, the genetic. They could you can actually make your CRISPR9. You can actually make yourself stronger.
Yeah.
So man,
I was looking into that. I ain't gonna lie. Why? Hey, you're still a human. It's not changing your like humanity. Is just enhancing what you already have. But anyways, yeah, go ahead with that CRISPR-9 thing.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. No.
Oh yeah, yeah, the CRISPR-9 thing is definitely real, and I think they already kind of have it, wide open out in China. I know, like, you can buy a cat now that's glow in the dark. This is all part of the, this CRISPR-9. I believe it's the genetics of a jellyfish, I think, or something like that. That
That's
gives
correct.
it that ability.
Yeah.
So this is like X-Men in real
For
life,
sure.
100%. And we all know that all the different super nations of the world, it's been outspoken many times, but people are just so desensitized. They don't give a crap. They care more about how many followers they have. But it's been spoken many times that we are on the arms race for the next super soldier. So as we're talking, only God knows what monstrosity that Russia, China, United States, England, etc., Japan, what kind of humanoid Nephilims are being created right in front of us. Like I said, anybody who's listening, you can Google this. This is not a conspiracy. This is not, tinfoil hat thing. It has been spoken about. You guys just don't care, or you don't notice it, that they are making, I've seen articles about half human, half gorilla. I've seen articles about half human, half cat, or not half, but partial. Excuse me, it's partial. So, for example, they were saying how if they can get a human to have partial vision of a cat, they can see better at night, blah, blah, blah. And they're also talking about how they want to change change some kind of certain genetics in the human, so they have no empathy. Basically, they'll have no problem killing anybody. We're talking about super soldiers here, guys. So, no empathy, night vision, gorilla strength. I mean, this is this is happening, and and who knows how many of these things they made already. And and if the project didn't turn out well, I'm pretty sure these things get executed, or maybe they release them in the wild and just study them from there. Maybe that's why we're seeing a bunch of weird creatures. There's so many different things that are going on, but yeah, the days of Noah is coming very soon. And like Dominic was saying, you could buy a CRISPR-9 little kit right now, I believe. I know at least like 3-4 years ago you could, because I looked it up, and I believe the kit was like about $800. So for about
$1,000 here.
Oh,
It's
$1,000
here.
So about $800, you could have super strength. I'm not too sure if it's a temporary change, or a 30-minute thing. I don't know, but I do know that it is 100% real, and this stuff is getting absolutely wild and out of control. So if we can get our hands on this little kit and do it ourselves, right? Like right now, you can do it right now, in any room in your bathroom. What in God's name are they doing with the technology they have behind closed doors? I mean, these people are probably, man, they could probably make a person the size of a toy. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, there's two things I want to talk about real quick. Do you guys, since we're talking about culture, talking about California, I want to ask you something. You mentioned Neuralink, you mentioned Elon Musk. Have you guys ever seen, since they started doing trials and whatnot and looking for candidates for the Neuralink? Okay.
Oh, I saw something.
So did you have people volunteering and lining up in the droves to participate in that at y'all's area, in y'all's region? Like, was it like, hey, I can't wait to get on the candidate list. Can I go? I got this infirmity. Can I check this out? Did you see anything like that?
I didn't see nothing like that out here, and I would say because this is like kind of recent too when this happened. So I would say a lot of people weren't really lining up for it, at least from what I know, because they don't during that time, even during that time, people didn't like Elon Musk because him and Trump were cool. So a lot of people were kind of bad mouthing him. So I really didn't see too many people out here, because a lot of people are liberal out here. But no, I didn't see any of that. But I saw an article of a person that supposedly volunteered, and it was successful. I don't know if you saw that, but I did see that.
I did see that, and I think he can play Mario Kart and actually use the
Oh yeah, yeah,
cursor on his computer and what have you. And
yeah. The guy,
God bless that man, right? And
he's the
God
one
bless
that
him.
had like in the wheelchair. Yeah, he could
Yeah, he was
like
paralyzed. Yeah, for
he
sure.
could literally do everything from the Neuralink, which is great. Like there's always what's that? What I'm looking for? The technology they have could be a gift, but in the with the
Mhm.
same technology, they can use it to just absolutely destroy you. That's the sad part.
Oh, 100%. And this is going to, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before. So, you mentioned monkeys earlier, right? Chimpanzees, what have you. And what you was referring to earlier, if my memory serves me correct, in 2019, they successfully uh, put a half man, half gorilla in a female gorilla. Okay.
Oh,
And I'm pretty sure it was a chimera, but it was 60% human and 40% ape. And guess what? It was born. And guess what? I think it came from China, if I'm not mistaken. And guess what? It could still repopulate, like it could reproduce. So
wow,
think about that. Okay.
that's scary.
So beyond scary. So here's another thing to think of. So I don't think the monkeys, the chimpanzees, what we have in the zoos, I don't think they was in the ark. Speaking of the days of Noah, my theory is when you look at the Hooneman, you look at the Hooneman character, David Carrico and John Powers did an excellent study on NAUCTV with that. So Hooneman was created to one that roams the forest, one that dominates the forest, right? And he was a hybrid. So I think about these chimpanzees and these monkeys because guess who gets the experiments put on them? Chimpanzees, monkeys, right?
Mhm.
Neuralink, right? So if you go back in time a little bit and you look at an event that happened in 2008 and an event that happened in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called Nicholas experiment. I think it's what it's called, the Nicholas experiment that happened in 2008. And I think the more modern term would be, I think it was out of Duke University in 2015. I think they was referring to, it's called the BrainNet project. And what they would do, they'd have these chimpanzees that had chips, right? Similar to Neuralink, be able to, communicate with a robot arm and, use it with your brain waves, use it, do a computer like we was talking about that gentleman earlier. But here's the thing that blows my mind. Okay. This is documented. So check it out when you get an opportunity. So this Nicholas project in 2008, when they did the chimpanzees from distance, like for example, you know how we're talking about communications with 5G, you have latency issues. Like you know how you have telephone poles. I don't know, you guys might have hovering craft telephone poles. We still got the 1875 model,
Yeah.
but but when you have the latency, right? 5G works different. The distancing runs, you have to have them on like every telephone pole, like ever so often to get that networking, that communication. So with this Nicholas 2008 experiment, and then the BrainNet, they had the chimpanzees side by side, or they would have the chimpanzees in each room. They would start demonstrating the same exact motion. Like one would have like a chip in them, and the other one wouldn't. So they would start working. They would work the same. They would resonate with each other, and they would pass it on. So let's just have fun here. Reason why I asked you that question, it wasn't a trick question about did you have people lining up to be candidates for the Neuralink. We didn't either. Okay, but here's the
Mhm.
thing. Here's my speculation. Here's my conspiracy for the night on this podcast here. What if they use the same technology that they're using with the BrainNet and the Nicholas, I think it's called Nicholas 2008 experiment. And what if they're doing the exact same thing? Because what they found out to astonishment is each chimpanzee, even if it was in another state, guys, like it got so out of control. Like if it was putting blocks up or doing something cognitively, it would transfer to a monkey with nothing wrong with it, nothing experimental, nothing. So we'll just have a hypothetical here for today. What if the Neuralink, that's why they only needed one. That's why they only need two. That's why they only need three. He only needed a couple specimens, a couple candidates. It's just a theory, just speculation on my part. But what if these individuals have this ability that they get these superhuman, yes, it cures whatever they got infirmity wise. God bless these folks. But what if it enhances the populace? What if it starts spreading? You feel me, guys? Like, what if the demonstration from the monkeys is bleeding off into the humanity? I'm not saying the monkey concept. I'm talking about the human trials with the Neuralink and its expansion of the meta, right? The meta, like the consciousness. And just what if it's a tie to that and it's integrated with us? They're getting us on every angle when it comes to spraying, crops, food source, what have you. And what if it's all just one big experiment? And like y'all are saying, as it was in the days of Noah, so should it be. What if we're in that incursion time and they're using that neural link and those pathways to transfer that cognitive ability, but it just there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. I mean, God's allowing it. And we just, the ones that are standing for the truth of Jesus Christ, whatever that cometh from that, if there's anything to that, and it's all speculation, like I said, what if that's like that, guys? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, I'm throwing out some crazy conspiracy rabbit holes, but what do you two gentlemen think about that?
Go ahead.
Well, I think anything's possible. We only see the tech we see to the public. We don't know what they really have. You know, we don't know how more. I think I forgot who said, someone's, God, the name doesn't come to me, but this person said that whatever you see now, what they have, like the black ops, or whatever, like 100 years in advance of what you're seeing today. And so yeah, I mean, that's a concept like that, with the spraying and all that stuff and the nano stuff. I mean, maybe they could be working on one hive mind. And maybe someone with a Neuralink is going to be like the
God.
Yeah, like kind of like what's that guy's name from Marvel movies, like the
Thanos.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just controlling everything with just the brain. And that might
Professor X.
There you go.
Xavier. Yeah.
And that could be something that who knows, maybe that will be the maybe the image of the beast is going to be some organic AI thing that's going to walk and talk and move. And I think that's where we're heading to. But that's a good thing you brought up that organic AI, because I didn't hear about that.
Yeah,
and it's starting to connect dots now.
I also heard they're going to sell computers, and it's going to be like kind of organic human organs too. It's going to be made out of like human parts, I guess. But anyways, to go through that, I think all this stuff is leading to all this AI stuff. God of the Bible, Jesus Christ, he is omnipresent. He can be everywhere at once. That is one of the main attributes that separates him from anything else, besides he's God and perfect. But that's one of the main powers that he has, that that these demons can't replicate. So Satan wants to be God. He wants to be better than God, apparently, because he wants to go above the throne, which is a crazy thing to even think. But he can't be everywhere at once. So what is Satan going to do he needs to be everywhere at once, because he's not let anything stop him from trying to be like God. So if you have AI and you got this AI, organic AI, whatever, organic, artificial AI, it doesn't matter. The whole goal of the AI is to be connected to everyone in real time, information in less than a second, all to one source. That would be like to be omnipresent, but on earth. That would be, in my personal opinion, this is Satan's power move. This is the biggest power move that he can do, is be omnipresent on earth. So if he can get, drones and AI cameras constantly surveying every life form, because it's just not going to be humans. Eventually, they're going to be scanning the ocean of every single little creature that's ever existing alive, every piece of that's going to be, in my opinion, this is happening for total control. And Satan wants to be omnipresent. Boom. That is my take on that right there.
Amen to that. Like, I would have to agree with that 1,000%. And I think, I know we're winding down here. I would have to say that things are not what they seem. And I think people need to really gravitate to what the Bible's speaking about and really focus on. That's what we was talking about, the cultural differences, right? Like, like spiritual territorial spirits. I mean, I think there's elemental spirits. There's all kinds of different things. Astotion, everything that's associated in some shape or form. These things have been they're ancient. They know who we are. They know they know our grandparents. They've been watching and monitoring our, whole family tree for generations. And, when it comes to the UFO phenomenon and you hear the term immaculate, and I always take a pause at constellation, you feel me? That I looked at that, guys, and that is something so bizarre. Like it's beyond our pay grade. It's beyond our understanding, but there's technologies that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, even probably thousands when you look at the ancient antediluvian realm. And I think with the AI components, the brain stuff, and using humanity's organic material to create some type of offspring of unbelievable 2.0 Nephilim, I think we are at the cusp of that. You got Project Stargate coming around the bend, all these control mechanisms, gentlemen. And I would really emphasize that the spiritual things, like what you're talking about, you guys are from California. You're way, way west of me, hours away from me. And we can sit down. Yes, we talked a lot about conspiracies tonight. Yes, we talked a lot about some very stuff that keep you up at night. And but the thing is, the ultimate goal at the end of the day is to serve the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and literally shout to the rooftops that Christ Jesus came and he paid the sin death on Golgotha, the place of the skull, mind you, and that sin death has been paid, and we're freely given the ability to have free will, be fruitful, multiply, have a life, man. And then we're fighting and navigating through this crazy, what you call matrix of reality, insanity with all these mechanisms. But at the end of the day, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I mean, there's, you have to really logically think about it and say, hey, the Holy Spirit is with us. He's never forsaked us. Some people have gave up, and I think that's a tool of the devil, this psychological mayhem that's been going on into our reality. I think it's all driven to, like I said earlier, through television media, to cultivate something so, vile and evil into your mind, like to just continue to just dabble in evil, like you said, Dominic, and driving these things home with idols and what have you, and paying homage to things that you just don't understand, and putting a Band-Aid on it, or putting a little ribbon on it, and saying, hey, it's a holiday every day, right? We're at the hour, guys. Like, here we are talking about stuff that 10 years ago, when I used to speak about these things, people thought I was a quack, right? And so here we are talking about we got three gentlemen coming together. You guys live thousands of miles away from me, and we can coexist. This should be a one of those things when people look back and say, hey, this one guy's talking all hillbilly like Boomhauer off King of the Hill, but these other two guys are from California. We're coexisting together. And plus, guess what? I'm just throwing this out here for everybody to have fun. We're going to get to meet each other in the flesh here, Lionel, here soon in a couple months. So what a blessing, man. And you'll get to see how the Southern hospitality is in Kentucky area. Man, I don't know if you've ever been to Kentucky, but I'm welcoming you both. I hope you enjoy your stay when you do come down here. But I will say this: it's been an honor to be on the Sabbath Midnight. I'm blessed by it. I know we're a little bit over on time, but I want to thank you, gentlemen, for both sticking with me tonight. And seriously, and the invite alone was an honor. And share this out, folks. Subscribe, Sabbath Midnight. And I just thank you all for having me on as a guest tonight, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, too. I just want to say one last word for people out there that probably never read this passage, but they need to know that evil does exist on this planet, on this earth. And it says, and Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall his kingdom stand? Satan has a kingdom, people, so stay prayed up, stay on the path to Jesus Christ. I think spiritual warfare is going to just become that much worse because it's already written in Revelation what's going to happen. So that's my piece. That's Matthew 12 and 26. Anyone wants to read that? Thank you for coming on. It's nice having you. It's a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dominic, for reading that. God bless that passage. God bless everybody. One more time, buddy. God bless you. What's the name of your channel again, so they could give us really quick your plug-in for your YouTube?
Okay. Visual Disturbance.
Right there.
And you can't miss it on YouTube, on X, all these different social platforms. So check me out on Visual Disturbance. And AKA Brian Reese. Here I am, Kentucky boy from the sticks, man, trying to shine a little light here of Jesus Christ. So bless you both for having me on, gentlemen.
Bless you
Seriously.
Too. Good having you.
Thank you very much. And as everybody knows, I am a good friend of John Pounders, and this is also an acquaintance of John Pounders. You got to see, the small circles are always the best circles. They're really tight, and we all have a similar, view of what the Bible says, everything from the cosmos to how it is to be a man. And this is why we stick together, and, this circle hopefully grows bigger with like-minded people. And I will be attending this conference that I've been invited to, which is an honor. I mean, it's just really crazy how things work. Started off never thinking I was going to be doing this. Listening to Art Bell. When Art Bell passed, I went straight to listening to NIUC TV. And then now I'm being invited to an event by the person I used to listen to. Things are just connecting really fast. And it is only possible through Jesus Christ. I mean, this is all happening for him. This podcast is for him. As you people know who've been listening to me, I've said this many times. I presented this podcast to God. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, what I wanted to do, what I would do for him. And, that's personal between us, what me and God talked about. But it looks like I'm doing the right thing. He's giving me the right feelings to expose, certain things. And, once again, thank you everybody for listening to the Sabbath at Midnight. I am your host, Lioneltavares, along here with my co-host, Dominic. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all our platforms. The links will be in the bio. Please also help the show, support us if you can. If you can, thank you. God bless you. And if you can't, thank you anyways. I do appreciate the most important thing is that you guys are listening to us. You guys are supporting us by following us and by sharing us. And don't forget, if you have a story to tell, if you want to get your personal story out there, your testimony, it could be anything. Everything doesn't have to be about aliens or crazy hauntings or ghost stories or demonic attacks. If you have a story that's a little bit more down to earth, maybe you found God because maybe you got arrested and something happened. Maybe you had a near-death experience and that you found God that way. Maybe you lost someone. Maybe none of that happened. We want to hear your story. Everyone's story is different, and it can connect somebody else who wants to share their story and get it out there. You can message me with that on my Instagram page, or if not, send me put a little comment on YouTube and say, hey, I want to tell my story. I'll hit you up and get in contact with you personally somehow to get in your email or something like that, or exchange numbers. But thank you very much again, guys. Hope everybody's having a great evening. And for me, it is in California, it is very late, so it is good evening for me, or good morning, whatever the case is. To all my listeners around the world, everybody, God bless and good night. I hope everybody enjoyed that episode. It was a great discussion, always making new friends with fellow believers in Christ. I'm very honored and glad to be a part of this little circle that we have going on here with everybody I've been discussing on a daily basis. I talked to John, I talked to, Travis and, Vicky Joy. I got just solid group of friends, solid Gary Wayne. I mean, I talk to these people on a weekly, at the very least, daily basis, the very most month. Like, we keep in touch, man. So very blessed to have this kind of circle. We can only go up from here, all through Jesus's approved journeys. God bless you, everybody. Have a good morning, good evening, afternoon, wherever you're at around this world. Talk to you guys soon. Be mindful of the children and people that bleed for the name of Christ, the only one that can save your life. He saved mine never once, gotta thank him twice. The amount of 1,000 thanks in a day, knowing I gotta give him more praise when I pray. Finally I feel alive and I know why, cause I'm giving all the glory to the Most High. They don't wanna hear the truth, that is no lie. If we ain't in the last days, then we're close by. The devil's trying to snatch your soul and it's not a game. You hear me saying Jesus Christ
Christ and it's not in vain. They might get offended every time I drop his name, but I'ma let them know that I'm not ashamed. Can't be content with just church on Sunday, or just going through the motions, cause one day I'ma have to give account for my time spent, and where my empty words and all of that pride went. Calamity bringing clarity. Seems like a good church these days is a rarity. One out of 7 in the book of Revelation. A perverse generation on the verge of devastation. A sign of the times, realizing that I'm in danger if I don't put my mind to the grind and do a work for the Lord. Every verse is a sword. Overseas there is people getting murked for the Lord. Imagining the whole church in the court, death itself shortly after rebirth in the Lord. Rapping for Christ like I wanna be his hype man, and I know opportunities have a lifespan. Finally I feel alive and I know why, cause I'm giving all the glory to the Most High. They don't wanna hear the truth, that is no lie. If we ain't in the last days, then we're close by. The devil's trying to snatch your soul and it's not a game. You hear me saying Jesus Christ and it's not in vain. They might get offended every time I drop his name, but I'ma let them know that I'm not ashamed.
The idea is trusting in God even when it doesn't make sense. From 2 Timothy 1 verse 12, this is why I am suffering as I am, yet I am not ashamed, because I know whom I have believed. I am convinced that he is able to guard what I have entrusted to him for that day. I am not ashamed, he says. I'm not ashamed to trust God with my life.